Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln wheat pennies coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most sought after and rare American coins, the United States 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from 1917, minted in San Francisco, or as we call it, the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny. Now, many of you might be familiar with the iconic Lincoln wheat penny, which was produced from 1909 to 1958. It's one of the most recognizable coins in the history of American currency, beloved by collectors for its rich history and symbolic representation of President Abraham Lincoln. But when we talk about the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny, we're talking about something extra special, a coin that's rare, valuable, and absolutely fascinating. Let's start with the basics. The 1917 penny was minted in San Francisco, and like many coins from that era, it was part of the transition to a modern currency system in the United States. At first glance, it may seem like just another ordinary penny, but don't let that fool you. This is a coin that packs a punch in terms of rarity and collector appeal. One of the key factors that make the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny so valuable is its mintage. Back in 1917, the San Francisco Mint produced a relatively limited number of these coins. In fact, only about 22 million of these pennies were struck that year, which, compared to other years, is already a relatively low number for this series. This smaller mintage makes the 1917 penny much more difficult to find today in decent condition, especially when you consider the many years of circulation that coins like these have gone through. However, the rarity of the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny doesn't end with its mintage number. To truly understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to take a closer look at its condition and errors. As with any rare coin, the condition is crucial to its value. A coin that has been in circulation for over a century can easily suffer from wear, scratches, and discoloration. But coins that have been preserved in excellent condition, especially those with sharp details and minimal signs of wear, are highly coveted by collectors and can fetch incredible prices at auctions. Now, what really makes the 1917 Lincoln wheat penny so intriguing for collectors are the minting errors that occasionally appear on these coins. Yes, errors. These aren't your run-of-the-mill mistakes, these are the kinds of irregularities that collectors dream about. Some 1917 pennies have doubled dies, where the design on the coin is faintly imprinted more than once, creating a blurry or overlapping appearance. These errors are relatively rare, and because they're so unique, they dramatically increase the value of the coin. Another issue that collectors look for is misstrikes, coins that were struck incorrectly due to mistakes at the mint. Some 1917 pennies were struck off-center or with uneven pressure, resulting in design features that are incomplete or distorted. These types of coins are highly prized because they stand out as one-of-a-kind examples of minting anomalies. In addition to these errors, varieties within the 1917 series also contribute to its desirability. Variance in the position of the mint mark or the way the coin was struck can make a 1917 penny stand out. Coins that show distinct differences in their appearance, even if it's just a subtle detail, are a big draw for collectors who are looking to complete their sets with the rarest and most unique pieces. So, what is this stunning coin worth? You've probably been wondering just how much a 1917 Lincoln wheat penny could fetch on the open market, right? Well, depending on the condition of the coin, the presence of errors, and the overall demand from collectors, the price can vary. But if you happen to find a 1917 penny in mint condition, especially one with a rare minting error, then you could be looking at a coin worth a lot more than you might expect. And here's the jaw-dropping part: if you have a 1917 Lincoln wheat penny in perfect condition, with a unique error, it could potentially be worth $89,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $89,000 for a single penny. That's right. A coin that was once just a humble piece of currency in everyday transactions could now fetch such an incredible sum because of its rarity, condition, and minting anomalies. So, if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins in your collection, or perhaps in a box of old pennies you've been meaning to go through, it might just be worth more than you could ever imagine. To all you collectors out there, this is the kind of find that keeps you on the lookout. The 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny is not just a coin, it's a piece of American history that has managed to stand the test of time and still captivate the hearts of collectors everywhere. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone starting to dive into the world of rare coins, the 1917 penny is a coin you definitely want to keep an eye out for. So, if you happen to come across a 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny in your collection, take a good look at its condition. You never know, you might just be holding a coin that's worth an amazing amount of money. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Top 2, we're diving into a coin that's sure to spark some serious excitement for collectors, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny. Now, if you're a fan of American coins, this is a piece you'll want to pay close attention to. The 1958 penny marks the end of an era, the final year of the iconic Lincoln Wheat penny series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. But what makes this specific penny so special? Well, let me take you on a journey to discover why this small coin can be worth much more than its face value. The Lincoln Wheat penny has always been a favorite among collectors, with its timeless design and historical significance. The obverse of the coin features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, who has been a symbol of freedom and unity in the United States for generations. On the reverse side, the wheat stalks on either side of the Lincoln Memorial are a nod to America's agricultural roots and the importance of hard work. These wheat pennies were minted for almost half a century, and they've become one of the most beloved coins in American numismatics. Now, let's focus on the 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny. Why is this year so significant? First of all, 1958 marks the last year the wheat penny design was used. In 1959, the design was replaced by the modern memorial penny, which introduced a new reverse design featuring the Lincoln Memorial. This makes the 1958 penny a true piece of history, as it was the final year for the classic design before the major change, but just because it's the last year doesn't automatically make it the rarest or most valuable of the series. So, what sets the 1958 penny apart from its counterparts, and why are collectors so eager to get their hands on it? It all comes down to rarity and condition. The 1958 penny is one of the more commonly found dates in the Lincoln Wheat series. The U.S. Mint produced over 1 billion of these coins, so they were widely circulated throughout the years. However, finding one in exceptional condition is where things get interesting. As with any vintage coin, the ones that survived years of circulation without being damaged or heavily worn are the ones that carry the most value. When it comes to value, grade is everything. A 1958 penny that's been well preserved, with sharp, clear details and minimal wear, can be worth much more than its face value. In fact, coins that are in mint condition, often graded as MS 65 or higher, can command impressive prices at auctions or through private sales. It's all about the quality of the coin and how well it has been taken care of over the decades, but there's more to the story than just mint condition. If you're lucky enough to find a 1958 Lincoln Wheat penny with errors or unique characteristics, that's when things get really exciting. Minting errors are one of the biggest drivers of value in the coin world, and collectors are always on the lookout for coins that feature misprints or striking anomalies. Some 1958 pennies have been found with double dies, where the coin's design has been imprinted more than once, creating blurry or overlapping images. These errors are incredibly rare and make the coin stand out as a one-of-a-kind treasure. Another error that can make the 1958 penny more valuable is a die crack. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged during the minting process. The result is a distinctive crack or line that can be seen on the surface of the coin. These die cracks are highly desirable to collectors because they make each coin unique. No two die cracks are the same, so each one tells a story of its own. The mint mark is another important factor when determining the value of a coin. The 1958 penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While the Philadelphia coins were not marked with a mint mark, those minted in Denver feature a small d, and those from San Francisco are marked with an S. The S mint mark is particularly interesting to collectors because it represents the San Francisco Mint, which has historically been known for producing high-quality coins. A 1958 S Lincoln wheat penny in excellent condition, particularly one with a rare error or unique characteristic, can be especially valuable. So, how much can a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Well, here's where the excitement really kicks in. While most 1958 pennies are worth just a few cents to a few dollars, it's those rare, error-free examples in perfect condition that really catch the eye of collectors. And when it comes to rare finds with errors, the value can skyrocket. Are you ready for the big reveal? If you have a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny in perfect uncirculated condition, or better yet, one with an incredible minting error, it could be worth an astonishing $80,000. Yes, you heard that right. $80,000 for a single penny. Imagine stumbling upon a coin worth $80,000 tucked away in your collection, or in an old jar of loose change. That's the magic of numismatics. A small, seemingly ordinary penny could have a value far beyond your wildest expectations if it has the right condition, features, or errors that make it truly unique. To all the coin collectors out there, this is a reminder of how exciting and rewarding the world of numismatics can be. Every coin has its own story to tell, and sometimes, that story ends with a jaw-dropping price tag. So, the next time you're going through your collection or sifting through a pile of old coins, keep an eye out for the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny. It could be worth much more than you think. Top 3, we're diving into a coin that holds more value than most people realize, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny. Now, when you think of pennies, you might imagine a small, everyday coin, something that doesn't get a lot of attention. But if you're a collector, you know that some of these coins hold secrets, and hidden worth, that can make your jaw drop. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln wheat penny, introduced in 1909, is one of the longest-running series in U.S. coinage. This coin, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse, was produced for decades, and it's become a staple in many collections. The coin's design is not only iconic but also tells a story about the evolution of America's economy and culture throughout the 20th century. Now, let's focus on the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, a piece that is relatively common but still has its own share of intrigue and rarity. The 1953 penny may not be one of the rarest dates in the series, but don't let that fool you. There's more to this coin than meets the eye, especially when you start looking into its condition and any potential minting errors. The first thing to understand about the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is its mintage. In 1953, the U.S. Mint produced over 1 billion of these pennies, which makes it seem like just another run-of-the-mill coin. However, what makes it stand out for collectors is the condition and the rarity of well-preserved examples. While most of these coins were heavily circulated and show signs of wear, those that have been preserved in near-mint condition are much harder to find. Coins in excellent shape, with sharp details and minimal wear, are incredibly sought after, and that's where the real value lies. But wait, we're not done yet. When it comes to rare coins, errors are often the star of the show, and the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny is no exception. Minting errors happen when there's a flaw during the coin production process, and these mistakes can turn an ordinary penny into a highly prized collector's item. One of the most notable errors that can be found on the 1953 penny is the doubled die. This happens when the coin is struck twice with misalignment, causing some of the details to appear blurry or doubled. These types of errors are incredibly rare and make the coin much more valuable to collectors who love to add unique pieces to their collection. Another error to look out for is a die crack, which occurs when the die that strikes the coin becomes damaged, leaving a visible crack or line on the surface of the coin. These cracks can give the penny an entirely different look, and because each die crack is unique, these coins become highly collectible. Finding a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a die crack or any other form of misstrike can significantly increase its value. You also have to keep an eye on the mint mark when it comes to Lincoln wheat pennies. The 1953 penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If you look closely at the coin, you'll see a small mint mark on the reverse side beneath the 1 cent inscription. While Philadelphia minted pennies don't have a mint mark, Denver coins have a D, and San Francisco coins have an S. The mint mark can influence the rarity of a coin, with some mint marks being rarer than others. The San Francisco minted coins, for example, are generally considered more desirable, especially if they're in good condition or have an error.so. Now that you understand what makes the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny so special, let's get to the most exciting part, the value. The value of this coin can vary widely depending on its condition, mint mark, and whether it has any rare minting errors. A typical 1953 penny in average condition might be worth just a few cents. However, as with most coins, the real value comes from rarity and condition. Here's where it gets interesting. If you manage to find a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you stumble upon one with a unique error such as a double die or a significant die crack, you could be looking at a coin worth much more than you might expect. In fact, a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with the right features, in the right condition, can potentially fetch an incredible price at auction. And now for the moment you've all been waiting for, a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny in perfect, uncirculated condition, especially one with a rare error or anomaly, could be worth as much as $84,000. Yes, you heard me right, $84,000 for a single penny. That's right, a coin that was once just a simple, everyday piece of currency could now be worth a small fortune if it's rare enough and in good enough condition. And that's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know when you might find a treasure hiding in your collection or in a jar of loose change. So, if you happen to have a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny lying around, take a closer look. It could be worth much more than just a cent. Whether it's a rare error, an excellent specimen, or simply a highly sought-after piece of history, you never know what you might find. So keep your eyes peeled, and who knows, you might just stumble upon a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. Top 4. This video is going to be extra exciting because we're diving deep into a truly fascinating piece of American numismatic history, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, the 1944 penny might seem like just another common coin from the past. After all, during that year, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies. However, this coin has a special story to tell. It's more than just a piece of currency, it's a piece of history. And for those in the know, it's a potential goldmine. Let's rewind to 1944. The world was in the middle of World War II, and the U.S. Mint was facing a unique challenge. Copper, the primary metal used to make pennies, was in high demand for the war effort. So, in 1943, the U.S. Mint made the decision to switch from copper to zinc-coated steel to produce pennies. But by 1944, the war was coming to an end, and the Mint returned to using copper for penny production. So, what does that mean for the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny? Well, for starters, it marks the return of copper pennies after that brief steel coin era, and this fact alone makes it an important year in the series. But there's more to this story than just the copper composition. The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is a rarity because it was struck during a time when metal shortages led to a few interesting mistakes. Now, let's talk about the real intrigue. For collectors, the true value of the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny doesn't lie in just the fact that it was made of copper. The real treasure comes from some rare minting errors that make certain 1944 pennies worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Minting errors can occur when a coin is improperly struck, and these flaws can create truly unique and valuable coins. One of the most fascinating and valuable errors to look out for is the 1944 steel penny. Yes, you heard that correctly. While most 1944 pennies were made of copper, a few steel pennies slipped through the cracks and were mistakenly produced with the same steel composition that had been used in 1943. These 1944 steel pennies are incredibly rare and can be worth a fortune. This is where the magic happens. Finding a 1944 steel penny among the sea of copper pennies is like striking gold in the world of coin collecting. In addition to the steel error, there are also other rare variants to consider. Some 1944 pennies were misstruck, meaning they were either struck off-center or with an uneven die. These kinds of errors make the coins stand out and are highly desirable to collectors. Coins with double dies, where the image appears to be imprinted more than once, are another sought-after variety, and the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is no exception. A double die on the date or on the inscriptions can dramatically increase the value of the coin. So, why does all this matter? It's because rare coins with minting errors or unique features are extremely valuable to collectors. These errors make the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny a piece of American history with an intriguing story to tell. The combination of its historical significance, its unique minting errors, and the fact that it's relatively scarce in good condition makes this penny more than just a curiosity. It makes it a valuable collector's item. Now, I know what you're thinking. Just how much could a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to have one of these rare steel pennies or a coin with a significant minting error, then you could be holding something worth a small fortune. While most 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies are only worth a few dollars, those with errors or in pristine condition can fetch amazing prices. And here's the kicker: if you happen to own one of these rare coins in perfect condition or one with a notable minting error, it could be worth a jaw-dropping $87,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $87,000 for a single 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. Imagine finding a coin that's worth $87,000 hidden away in your collection or buried in a jar of loose change. That's the thrill of collecting rare coins. You never know when a seemingly ordinary penny could turn out to be worth more than you could ever imagine. So, what should you be looking for when it comes to the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny? Pay close attention to the condition of the coin, especially if it looks like it might be a steel penny or shows signs of minting errors like double dies or misstrikes. Coins in exceptional condition, with sharp features and minimal wear, will always have a higher value than those that have been heavily circulated. If you're out there hunting for rare coins, don't overlook the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny. It might just be the coin that makes your collection shine. And for those who already have one of these beauties in your possession, take a closer look. You might be holding the next big find. Top 5, we have a very special coin to discuss, a coin that's been making waves in the world of collectors for its history, rarity, and potential value. If you're a fan of American coins, or just enjoy discovering hidden treasures, then you're in for a treat as we explore the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny might not seem like the most exciting coin in the world. After all, it was part of a series that ran from 1909 to 1958, and there were millions produced in 1954. But don't let the numbers fool you. There's much more to this penny than meets the eye, and if you know what to look for, this humble 1-cent piece could end up being worth far more than its face value. To really understand the significance of the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, let's start with a little background. The Lincoln wheat penny, a staple in American currency for nearly half a century, features the famous image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, with wheat stalks on the reverse side, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. The design has a timeless, classic appeal, which is one reason it remains so popular with collectors. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced billions of these pennies, making it one of the more common years for the series. However, just because a coin is widely circulated doesn't mean it can't be valuable. In fact, condition is what separates the valuable coins from the ordinary ones. Most of the 1954 pennies you come across have been in circulation for decades, which means they've likely suffered wear and tear. But here's the thing: well-preserved specimens, especially those in mint condition, are becoming harder and harder to find. And for collectors, that makes all the difference. Now, let's talk about rarity. While the 1954 penny wasn't exactly minted in limited quantities, finding one in exceptional condition can be a real prize. As with any coin, collectors are constantly on the lookout for pennies that have been carefully preserved, those that show little to no wear, with crisp details and a sharp design. A 1954 Lincoln wheat penny in pristine, uncirculated condition could fetch a pretty penny, pun intended, making it a valuable addition to any collection. But condition isn't the only factor that drives the value of the 1954 Lincoln wheat penny. Minting errors are one of the most exciting things to look for in the world of coin collecting, and the 1954 penny is no exception. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, and these unique imperfections can make a coin much more valuable. One of the most notable errors found in the 1954 penny series is the double die. This happens when the coin is struck multiple times, creating a blurry or doubled image on certain parts of the design, like the date or the inscription. These doubled dies are extremely rare and can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. Another potential error to look for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be misaligned. An off-center 1954 penny is considered a unique variant, and collectors are always excited to find coins like this because no two are the same. If you're paying close attention, you might also encounter a die crack or die break. These occur when the die used to strike the coin becomes cracked or damaged, leaving a permanent mark on the coin. These imperfections can add a lot of character to a coin and, depending on how severe the crack is, they can significantly increase the value of the 1954 penny. Now, I can already hear some of you asking, just how much can a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Well, here's where things get really interesting. While most 1954 pennies are worth just a few cents, the ones in mint condition or with rare minting errors can be worth significantly more. The value skyrockets when you find a highly graded coin, especially one with an error like a double die or an off-center strike. And here's the big reveal: if you happen to own a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny that is in pristine, uncirculated condition or has a rare minting error, it could be worth an astonishing $76,000. That's right, $76,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin worth just 1 cent could end up being worth tens of thousands of dollars. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. The right coin in the right condition can be a hidden gem just waiting to be discovered. So, if you have a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny in your collection or if you come across one in your coin hunting adventures, take a moment to examine it closely. Look for signs of minting errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or any other unique features that might set it apart from the rest. It's always worth checking the condition and seeing if it might be one of the rare ones that could turn into a small fortune. To all the coin collectors out there, this is a great reminder that you should never overlook even the most common coins. Who knows, your next penny could be worth more than you ever imagined. So, keep an eye out, stay curious, and always appreciate the history and rarity that these incredible pieces of currency represent. Top 6, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that's often overlooked by many but holds incredible potential for collectors. If you're into coins or simply intrigued by the hidden treasures in your spare change, this is the perfect video for you. Stick around, because by the end, we'll be revealing just how much this coin could be worth, and trust me, it's more than you might expect. When we think of the Lincoln wheat penny, most of us imagine the classic design featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse. It's a coin that's been a part of American history for decades, and the 1941 version is no exception. However, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny has some unique qualities that set it apart from other years, making it highly sought after by numismatists and collectors alike. To truly understand the value of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, let's first take a quick step back in time. The early 1940s were a period of great change for the United States, as the nation was entering the final years of the Great Depression and moving toward involvement in World War II. The 1941 penny was produced right before the war really took off, during a time when the country was still experiencing economic recovery. That means these pennies weren't just coins, they were part of the broader story of America during a critical moment in history. So, what makes the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny special? Well, for one, it's a coin with a great deal of history behind it. But beyond that, it's actually more valuable than you might think, especially when you consider the rarity and condition of these coins. While millions of them were minted, finding one in exceptional condition is no easy feat. Over the years, many of these pennies have been heavily circulated, losing their sharp details and smooth finishes. But when you come across one that's been carefully preserved, you might just be holding a true gem. One of the most important factors in determining the value of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is the condition. Coins that have been well preserved, especially those that remain in uncirculated condition, are far more valuable than those that have seen years of heavy use. If you find a 1941 penny that still has crisp details, an even finish, and minimal wear, you could have a coin worth more than just a few cents, but it doesn't stop there. In the world of coin collecting, one of the most exciting aspects is finding coins that feature minting errors, those little imperfections that happen during the coin-making process. These errors can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into something extraordinary, and the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is no exception. There are a few types of errors that collectors are particularly eager to find, and if you're lucky enough to stumble upon one of these, you could be looking at a significant increase in value. One of the most common errors found in the 1941 pennies is the doubled die. A doubled die occurs when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear blurry or doubled. This can happen on the date, the inscription, or even on Lincoln's portrait. A 1941 double die penny is one of the most coveted errors by collectors, as it's both unique and rare. If you come across a 1941 penny with a double die error, you could be holding onto a piece of history that's worth far more than a typical penny. Another exciting error to look for is the off-center strike, where the coin is struck off-center, making the design appear misaligned. These coins are often considered valuable because of their distinctive and irregular appearance. Each off-center 1941 penny is one of a kind, and that uniqueness can make it a collector's dream. Finding an off-center strike in good condition could drastically increase the coin's value, especially if it's a particularly severe misstrike, and let's not forget about die cracks and die breaks. These imperfections occur when the minting die itself becomes cracked or damaged, leaving an imprint of the crack on the coin. Some collectors find these errors particularly fascinating because they give the coin a unique characteristic that no other coin has. If you spot a die crack or break on a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny, it could be a rare find worth much more than you'd expect. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much could a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? The answer to that depends on a few factors: condition, rarity, and any minting errors that might be present. While a typical 1941 penny in good condition might only be worth a couple of dollars, things change dramatically when the coin is in uncirculated condition or has a minting error. Coins with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks can be worth a small fortune to the right collector, and here comes the exciting part: if you have a 1941 Lincoln wheat penny that is in exceptionally good condition or has one of those rare minting errors, it could be worth an incredible $79,000. Yes, you heard me right, $79,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding one of these rare coins tucked away in your collection or even in a jar of loose change. That's the beauty of coin collecting. The next treasure could be right under your nose. So, if you're a coin collector, or even just someone who's starting to explore the world of numismatics, keep an eye out for the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny. Check the condition, look for any errors, and see if you have one of those rare, valuable pieces that could end up being worth a fortune. Top 7, and last unique coin, we have something truly special to talk about, something that every coin collector or enthusiast should pay attention to. We're diving into the fascinating world of the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that, while seemingly ordinary at first glance, can actually be worth a small fortune if you know where to look. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, what's so special about that? But here's the thing, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny is much more than just a common 1-cent piece. If you know what to look for, this penny could hold hidden value that goes far beyond its original face value. This penny might just be the ticket to a serious treasure hunt. The Lincoln wheat penny series, which was produced from 1909 to 1958, is one of the most iconic coin designs in American history. The design features a portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the reverse showcases 2 stalks of wheat, symbolizing the agricultural roots of the United States. This simple yet beautiful design has made the wheat penny a favorite among collectors for decades. So why is the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny so valuable? Well, let's start by looking at its history and production. In 1950, millions of these pennies were minted, with the U.S. Mint striking both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But despite the high production numbers, the true value of these pennies lies in their condition and the rare minting errors that can make them stand out. Over the years, many of these coins have been worn down by time and circulation. The reality is that most 1950 pennies you come across will show signs of heavy use, like worn edges, faded details, and other imperfections. However, the ones that are well preserved, in mint state, or free from significant wear are considered exceptionally rare and can fetch a much higher price. If you've ever seen an old coin and wondered, could this one be valuable? Here's your answer. The condition of the coin matters more than anything. Coins that have been stored properly or have never been circulated are far more valuable. If you happen to find a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny that is in uncirculated or mint condition, you're looking at a coin that could be worth a lot more than its face value. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes, but wait, there's more to it than just condition. Minting errors can be a huge factor in determining the value of the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, creating a unique variation of the coin. These errors can make a coin incredibly rare and, consequently, much more valuable to collectors. Let's talk about a few types of errors that could make your 1950 penny worth thousands. One of the most exciting minting errors that collectors are looking for is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear blurry or doubled, especially on the date or lettering. A 1950 double die penny is considered a highly valuable find because of its distinct and obvious error. If you have one of these pennies in your collection, you're holding on to something that could dramatically increase in value. Another minting error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This error occurs when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, making the design appear off-center. Off-center coins are unique and can be worth quite a bit, especially if the error is severe enough to make the misalignment obvious. If you stumble upon a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny with an off-center strike, it could be a rare find that many collectors would love to add to their collection. Additionally, die cracks or die breaks can also make your 1950 penny more valuable. A die crack happens when the minting die itself becomes damaged, leaving a permanent crack mark on the coin's design. These types of cracks add a unique touch to the coin, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins with visible die cracks or breaks. If your 1950 penny has any of these unusual imperfections, it's likely to be worth much more than a typical coin. Now, you're probably wondering, just how much can a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? Well, the truth is that most 1950 pennies will only fetch a few dollars in average condition. But when you get a well-preserved, uncirculated penny, or even better, one with a minting error, the price can skyrocket. If you find a 1950 penny with a double die, an off-center strike, or a die crack in exceptional condition, you could be looking at a serious payoff. Are you ready for the big reveal? A 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, especially one that's in mint condition or has a rare minting error, can be worth an astonishing $73,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $73,000 for a single penny. That's the incredible potential hidden in this seemingly ordinary coin. The world of coin collecting can sometimes seem like a treasure hunt, and the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny is a perfect example of how an unassuming penny can be worth far more than you might think. So, next time you find a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, make sure to inspect it carefully. Look for any minting errors, examine its condition, and consider getting it graded by a professional to understand its true value. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare pennies in excellent condition, you could be holding onto a coin that's worth a small fortune. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed learning about this hidden treasure from the past. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future coin discoveries. Keep on collecting and searching. Who knows, your next find could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Happy hunting, and good luck!